Hi, good afternoon. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Welcome to our webinar with our colleagues from SonicWall, here today to discuss their 2022 Cyber Threat Report, which will cover some important topics, including some of their exclusive findings around ransomware, cryptojacking, encrypted threats, zero-day attacks, and more. My name is Carl Fisher. I'm the sales team leader here at Switchshop. We hope to provide you with some useful takeaways during today's session. But should you wish to discuss anything further on a one-to-one basis, then please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us here at SwitchShop or SonicWall. I'm joined today by Ryan Carr from SonicWall, and he'll be guiding us through this year's report and provided some key differentiators that SonicWall can offer. Throughout the webinar, we'll be offering the chance to ask any questions in the questions tab. This is a private tab, can only be viewed by speakers, so please make use of that, and we'll address those queries at the end of the session in the Q&A time. If for any reason we run out of time to answer them all, we'll certainly take note of those and contact everyone individually. You'll also see that there's a chat tab in the bottom right. This is public, so feel free to communicate with peers here or communicate any technical questions or issues you might have. For those of you who don't know Switchshop, we're a leading value-added reseller in delivering network and security infrastructure solutions. We work heavily in the public sector across secondary and higher education, local government, and of course with the NHS. We are first and foremost a technically led company, and our focus is putting the right solutions to the right customers. Of course, we always factor in budget restraints and real-world practicalities, but first and foremost, we look to deliver the right technical solution. And that's why we invest heavily in our professional services team and ensure that we are working with the best manufacturers in the industry. We're obviously here today with SonicWall, with whom are one of just a handful of gold-level partners in the UK with, which is a testament not just to our sales position, but rather how technically capable we are and how we work collaboratively with our customers. Our relationship with SonicWall is one of the longest and most important here at Switchshop, and we're very excited by some of their latest developments, product additions to their portfolio, and I'm most looking forward to hearing about their findings today. So that's all from me. If I may, I'll pass you over to Ryan to kick off the main event. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. So just a little introduction to myself. So I'm Ryan Carr. I'm one of the territory account managers at SonicWall, in charge of enterprise and public sector accounts within the UK. So as Carl mentioned, today I'm going to give you all an insight into our SonicWall 2022 threat report. Our threat report offers exclusive research and invaluable insight for navigating the unknowns of tomorrow. It also compiles threat observations observed by SonicWall Capture Labs, including ransomware, malware, sophisticated attack methods employed in 2021, and more. It's more important than ever that businesses collectively understand the potential risks within your networks or our networks, and the rapidly changing behavior of threat actors that are determined to exploit the weaknesses in our systems. SonicWall takes pride in collaborating with global cybersecurity community for shared threat intelligence and ensuring that our own threat intelligence and research is also finely tuned as we go along. So for anyone on the call that doesn't know, so SonicWall delivers boundless cybersecurity for the hyper-distributed era. So we're now in a work reality where everyone is remote, everyone is mobile, and potentially unsecure. So we safeguard organizations that are mobilizing for their new business normal. We provide seamless protection that stops the most evasive attacks across boundless exposure points and increasing remote, mobile, and cloud workforces. So by knowing the unknown, providing real-time visibility, and enabling breakthrough economics, we can help in closing that cybersecurity business gap for enterprises, governments, and SMBs worldwide. Next slide. Perfect. So if I go to here, so before we start, so intelligence for our 2022 cyber threat report is sourced from real world data gathered by SonicWall Capture, the SonicWall Capture Threat Network, which securely monitors and collects information from all of our global devices. That includes 1.1 million security sensors across 215 countries. This includes 24/7 365 monitoring. It also includes cross-vector threat information that's shared among our SonicWall security systems, including our firewalls, our email devices, our endpoint security solutions, any honeypots that we have, content filtering systems, and our SonicWall Capture ATP sandboxing solution. So Capture Labs also includes SonicWall internal malware analysis for automation. And then it also includes malware and IP reputation data from tens of thousands of firewalls and email security devices that we have. It also provides shared threat intelligence from more than 50 industry collaboration groups. So this could be anything such as Microsoft Active Protection Program that we are a strong part of, and any extra analysis from our freelance security researchers. So today's business challenge. So I think today the massively expanded distributed IT that we speak about, that's fueled by the proliferation of apps and devices. It's fueled by the cloud. Borderless organizations and sensors that are now everywhere. It's creating an unprecedented explosion of exposure points for all businesses and enterprises worldwide. So I suppose some of today's business challenges include, the path to cloud transformation, the proliferation of apps and devices, the advancements of virtualized capabilities, evolving legislation and regulations around the world, such as GDPR, PCI, and Prevent. We've now got borderless companies, including hybrid and fully remote workforces. The pervasive use of cloud or sensors everywhere. This is our new world now. So I think that leads on to the unexpected accelerator. So the unexpected accelerators. Over the past year or so, the world's been faced with an unexpected accelerator, and that is the dramatic shift from on-premise employees to remote and virtual workforces. This created a new business reality where everyone is remote and potentially unsecure. So as organizations and people become more distributed and interconnected, the cyber attacks are continuing to grow at unprecedented rates because we're having to fight to battle and keep everything secure. So as I mentioned there, as the world continued to grapple with the challenges of 2020, such as COVID-19, 2021 has brought its own set of challenges or brought its own set of new challenges. The key findings being, ransomware savage rain we saw last year. So our threat researchers from Capture Labs observed 623 million global attacks last year. This total marked 105% global increase. I'll go into regionalized, geolocations later from a UK perspective. We saw that malware was down overall, but as I'll show you a bit later, that might not necessarily be a true representation. And I think there might be trouble on the horizon from malware perspective within the UK. Our AI and threat detection, so our RTDMI is getting smarter, faster, and better throughout the quarters. Last year we found more never before seen malware variants than ever before since its introduction in 2018. And that's that was a total of 442,000 threats last year, and a 65% year-on-year increase. Another one to mention is malicious intrusions. So down by nearly a third, but while total intrusions were up in 2021, the number of malicious intrusions fell 28% from 16.4 billion to 11.9. Another honourable mention there is cryptojacking. So cryptojacking rose in 2021 by 19% globally, in line with some of the interest around cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. And this was the most attacks that SonicWall Capture Labs threat researchers have ever noticed in a single year regarding to cryptojacking. So I'll be digging deeper into the findings in further slides. So this was the level of concern about cyber attacks. Apologies. So global ransomware volume. So ransomware continues to be pervasive worldwide, causing more damage than ever before and affecting more organizations than any other attack vector. Ransomware increased by an unprecedented 105% in 2021. And the explosive growth of strategies such as double and even triple extortion, where these hackers are coming back again and again to target these enterprises, were more successful than ever. But as cyber criminals have grown more sophisticated and successful, they've grown more ruthless. Many of the high-profile ransomware attacks in 2021 looked more like acts of war than just malware. They were endangering our food supply, they were endangering our water supply, they were endangering our fuel supply, our hospitals and our municipalities, or in the UK, our counties. We saw, yeah, as we said there. So this total here, we saw 623.3 million attacks last year. But that's not all. So but that's not all. So year on year, so from 2019 to 2021, saw a 232% increase. We've more than doubled year on year, which is a scary statistic. So that's not all. So let's go into a local level. So ransomware top 10 countries. So on a local level, the UK was one of the most targeted geos on the planet, with ransomware increasing by 227% last year. Key targets within the UK have been, critical national infrastructure, education, healthcare, and some of the finance within public sector. But as we can see on this list, so Germany saw a far higher increase in ransomware volume last year. The number of ransomware hits in Germany rose to 34.3 million, which is a mind-blowing 3,256% year-on-year increase, and enough to unseat the UK as a second in line. Notable ransomware that was identified throughout 21. So if I take you through some of the timeline towards the back end of last year, so in July we had Snoop Dogg ransomware, which charged £36,000 worth of Bitcoin for recovery. If you wanted to negotiate that, it was a 20% discount. We had Kaseya in July, which was a server exploitation. We had then in September we had Lockbit 2.0. That was the ransomware behind the Accenture breach. And then we've got other honorable mentions. In December we had the WordPress web bites. That was plagued by ransomware. And towards the back end of the year we had the GitHub hosted Android ransomware, which was being misused in the wild. So so now we're going to move on to overall malware, maybe on the rebound. So last year we saw the global trend is that malware has fallen 4%. Malware was slightly down again in 2021. However, as you can see, towards the back end of 2021 through August through to November, there was large spikes, which makes us suggest that the 2022 numbers for malware may very well be on the rise, regardless of that 4% down. So malware UK. So in the UK, the number of malware hits was up 48% year on year. So the volume was the highest in July, as you can see there. The opposite of the US, which in the US it was their lowest month for malware. Two industries saw the large spikes in malware in 2021. So healthcare was 121% increase, and the government was 94% increase in malware. These weren't the industries likeliest to be hit by malware. However, once again, the industry with the highest percentage of customers targeted was in fact education. Once again, this held up for the entire year. Education across the board. I think we saw 22% of education customers targeted by malware in any given month. Compared to a government, for example, which was just 19%, and then retail and healthcare got off quite lightly with 16% respectively. So yeah, I just thought we'd touch on Log4j. So Log4j was added into our threat report, and I think mainly it was because last year SonicWall and the world saw more CVEs than ever before, and this includes Log4j. What's remarkable though is how quickly hackers and cyber threat actors managed to pivot and exploit these vulnerabilities like Log4j. It took less than 48 hours from the initial December the 9th that you can see there, the POC public disclosure for attempted exploits, and that was to reach into hundreds of thousands by the third day in attempts, and then by end of day 3, you can see up there it was in the millions, which is absolutely unprecedented for a CVE vulnerability. And since then, Log4j vulnerabilities have been exploited across every industry. I think everyone was hit in some form by the Log4j vulnerabilities. But the hardest to be hit so far have certainly been, in the scientific and technical community. Then it, filters down through manufacturing, through government, through finance, etc. To date, SonicWall released 11 signatures to help safeguard the customers against the widespread of exploitation of Log4j. Perfect. So I just thought I'd highlight business email compromise here. So I suppose the best summary of business email compromise um, is, they rely heavily on social engineering. They're very effective, and a summary of it would be, why go through all the trouble of launching a multi-stage attack, collecting credentials, exfiltrating data, encrypting endpoints, or even haggling over ransomware amounts, when you could just ask for the money. Business email compromise attacks um, rely primarily on social engineering, while employees at any level can be targeted. The criminals almost exclusively appeal to the seniority to secure their compliance. Attackers can create email addresses that mimic those used by senior execs. So what they do is they go in there, they use social engineering, they pretend to be the exec. They use free services such as Gmail to create an email address, for example, um, and they can appear to be that executive's personal account, or less commonly, gain access to their corporate email, um, and ask for money by other means along that route. Um, so, despite being underreported, business email attacks from a SonicWall perspective, I believe they still cause, the most financial damage of any attack type, even if they're not as well known as something such as ransomware. And this is on to slide 2. So yeah, so business email compromise. So cybersecurity incidents in 2021. We had all of these impersonation attacks. We had email account takeovers. We had, recipients' email account was compromised. They'd be changing bank statements, or employees tricked into paying payroll to a fraudulent bank account. And then, so I think one of the other main or highly regarded pieces of information that came out of our 2022 cyber threat report is that our AI threat detection is getting faster and smarter and better. So this is in relation to SonicWall's RTDMI technology. So, what is RTDMI? So real-time deep memory inspection from SonicWall. It was introduced in early 2018. SonicWall's real-time deep memory inspection engine, it essentially detects and blocks malware that doesn't exhibit malicious behavior and hides its weaponry within encryption. 2021 was another banner year. You can see how much faster and how much more data the SonicWall RTDMI engine is catching. And we've recently been tested by ICSA Labs. They're a spin-off company of Verizon. And for the last 5 quarters in a row, we've had an unprecedented 100% catch rates on this engine with no false positives. So we're the only vendor in test to have ever had this 100% catch rate. So we're very intrigued, and we're very impressed at how well our AI and our performance is holding up with today's new threats. There you go. And then moving on to encrypted threats now. So, encrypted threats triple digit increase, 167%. What are encrypted threats? So in simple terms, you've got TLS, you've got your transport layer security is used to create an encrypted tunnel for securing data over an internet connection. So this is all of your HTTPS traffic. While TLS provides legitimate security benefits for web sessions and internet communications, cybersecurity increasingly use this encryption tool to hide malware, ransomware, and zero-day attacks, and more. So there's more and more of these attacks that are being hidden within HTTPS traffic, and passed along a secure tunnel. And this is something that would bypass these legacy firewalls that don't have the power or the ability to look or decrypt TLS traffic. As you can see on the chart here, the education sector faced a huge deluge of attacks in 2021, but they weren't the only one. An average of 8.8% education customers saw an encrypted attack in a given month, whereas government, for example, only saw 8.2. Retail customers, on the other hand, were comparatively spared. So you can see down there that they had an average of 2.7% of customers saw an attack on any given month. Excuse me. And then into cryptojacking. So in 2021, the number of cryptojacking attempts rose to 97 million. An increase of 19% year on year, and an average of 338 cryptojacking attempts per customer network. So while cryptojacking volume didn't see the sort of triple-digit increases that were observed, before in encrypted threats or in ransomware, this moderate increase was enough, to set an all-time high in 2021 for cryptojacking. Worryingly for us, the worst month for cryptojacking was 2021, in December by far. While the 13.6 million hits recorded in December don't eclipse March of last year, it makes an easy second place, and a very suboptimal starting point for us going into 2022. For those of you that don't know, I suppose I'll backtrack a step here. So, what is cryptojacking? And cryptojacking is using another computer's powers to mine cryptocurrency and get access, and they can get access to a PC either via browser or malware injection. So this is all done without consent. It can leave the user with a really slow device, because your device is taking a lot of processor power, trying to mine all of these cryptocurrencies. So just to give you an idea of how power hungry crypto mining can be, in 2019, Bitcoin mining was using about as much electricity as the country of Switzerland. And that's just one coin. We've got all of the other crypto coins as well. So I've just put a slide on here for solutions and best practice. Organizations today, must use all of the available resources and technology in order to stay current and stay in front of threat trends. This could include anything from an analysis of threat actor behavior, pivoting strategies, advanced defense tactics. A great example would be tools such as RTDMI and Capture ATP. And also the use of threat intelligence, such as this cyber threat report, to make informed decisions on where you need to go in your cybersecurity strategy in the next couple of years. There's no doubt that the global pandemic continued the acceleration of digital transformation for everyone, with the embedding of technology into not just work but in personal lives as well. And cybersecurity is acting as that linchpin to keep this hyper-connected era going. Cybersecurity professionals today, face increasingly tenacious threat actors, which we've seen, and an ever-expanding work surface, which we know because of this, because of all of this cloud adoption and this massive shift to hybrid or remote working. Pair that with the shortage of security professionals that we have at the moment. It continues to highlight the challenge that we face. And I think that's why we need to lean on some of the AI, some of the best practice, and some of the resources that we can provide from other, from ourselves or other security vendors. So boundless cybersecurity here. So I think I put on some business requirements for boundless cybersecurity, that's in relation to what we've seen today on the threat report, and in relation to what what SonicWall could help, and alongside Switchshop. We should, but I think firstly we should expand on the foundation of boundless security on the whole. First, there are four elements that are extremely important. Knowing the unknown is one of the key pillars for SonicWall. Through real time detection of unknown and evasive threats, and blocking till verdict is going to produce a network that's incredibly difficult to penetrate. The second one would be seamless coverage, with a multi-layer approach to protecting all of your attack surfaces. So whether that's firewall, whether that's email, whether that's endpoint, whether that's secure mobile access or centralized management, how much coverage can we get across the network in a secure way? And then we need a unified view. So I just touched there on centralized management. Do we have a place where we can keep an eye on everything and get real-time alertings and real-time feedback into the products that you're putting into your networks? And fundamentally, new economics. we're all in a time now where markets, especially even this week, for example, the markets are in a way whereby everyone is looking to be as cost effective as possible, but to achieve the highest level of protection possible. And we aim to do that with scalable total cost of ownership across a network estate. And then you've got, then we've got another four. So underpinning those first four are an additional four support needs. One of them would be, intelligent automation. Do we have technology or products that can help us reduce human interaction to make decisions? Can we have security that goes with us anywhere and everywhere? Users, devices, and data to stay protected. And then the other two are continuous adaptability. And the final one would be, choose your deployment model, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on premise, whether it's hybrid workforce, whether it's fully remote. Do we have products that are available to cater for all needs? And the answer is yes. And so there is a full copy of the cyber threat report available. I'd be more than happy to share that with you. It's also available for download via the website. If anyone has any questions from today, I'd love to hear them, and I will speak to you all soon.
Ryan, thank you very much for that. Most appreciated and very informative. And thanks to everybody else today for your time. It's most appreciated. I hope you found it all very valuable. As Ryan mentioned, obviously feel free to download the report. And if any of you are at all interested in a demonstration from us with SonicWall, please feel free to contact us at sales@switchshop.co.uk or reach out to us on LinkedIn. I believe we may have a question on board. If I pass over to either yourself, Jen, or Ryan.
Amazing. I can take that, Carl. So I think
Thank you,
there's a few questions to unravel there. So how can you trial SonicWall? So SonicWall is available to trial. Most of the trials are available now on mysonicwall.com. It's just a case of registering your account and then going to the product management tab. This can be anything from remote access trials to capture client to cloud application security for your Office 365, even an NSV. If you want to trial a virtual firewall for your Azure or KVM or AWS instances, we can cater for that. The second question there. So how often should I look at my firewall? So I suppose that's a tough question, and it would depend on the business needs and some of your cybersecurity requirements. But I think we should always, we'd always recommend looking at your firewalls, from that sort of 3 to 5 year period. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of transformation happening at the moment with everything from high-speed internet to Wi-Fi 6 to high-speed switching to high-speed laptops. Does your legacy firewall have the bandwidth or the power to cope with those new requirements? And then which product within my security is most important? And I think the answer to that question is they're all just as important as each other. We've heard the house analogy over the years, but it's no good having there's no good having a huge front door with loads of bolts on it if you're going to leave the back gate open or the back door open. It's never been more important than ever to have a look at all of the layers and all of the holes within the network that could potentially lead to malware.
Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. Most appreciated. I think that's all the questions we've got at the moment, but feel free to continue sending them over if you have anything else. And as I mentioned, feel free to reach out to Ryan or myself if you have anything you need from us. Wish you all a pleasant afternoon. Thank you once again for joining. And I wish you all the best. Goodbye.